This morning on The Dish, a restaurant in Boulder, Colorado, where the food could not be fresher because it comes straight off the chef's own farm. Almost everything they cook at Bramble Hare is grown and raised at owners Jill and Eric Skokan's farm, from the heirloom tomatoes and lettuce to the pigs, sheep, and geese. It means a menu that changes with the season, and it's delighting their fans. Just outside of Boulder, in the foothills of the Colorado Rockies, suburban sprawl has forged a friendship with fruitful farmland.
Oh, there's a bunch of good ones right there.
Oh, yeah? Look at that.
Perfectly right.
It's where folks like Eric Skokan and his wife Jill have learned to grow their living.
I'm looking for ones that have a huge amount of flavor.
Farming these fields for produce or herding their flock of sheep.
The sheep, they see new grass and they're like, oh, hooray. But it's important for us to move the sheep continually so they don't kill off the grass here.
Look at them go! But Skokan's 450 acres, dubbed Black Cat Farm, is just half the story. In town, he runs the popular Bramble Hare, where his seasonal menu is almost entirely sourced from his own produce and livestock. Did we mention he pulls double duty as the chef, too? The farm's the supply, the restaurant's the demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they feed each other.
Absolutely. There's farm to table, and then there's farm to table-ish, right? And we're not farm to table-ish, we are farm to tables, right? I think really the important thing is, for us, that it's been authenticity.
Only a handful of restaurants in the U.S. are like Bramble Hare. 1 part farm, 1 part kitchen, growing nearly their entire menu themselves.
In the restaurant, we need the hearty, bulky things, the potatoes and the carrots and the beets, and then we also need the things that are really delicate. And then these things sort of get sprinkled on and give this sense of life and freshness to the substance that we've grown in the other field.
Eric and Jill were first inspired almost 20 years ago while on an unforgettable trip in Basque Country in the south of France.
We ate in a little restaurant, Auberge Gojoki, one of my best meals I've ever had in my life.
Everything they ate was locally produced and optimally fresh. That, they decided, is what they wanted to recreate at home.
It was just magic, you know, when you just know that it makes sense.
They opened a restaurant and began a small backyard garden, which they quickly outgrew, moving on to open land outside of town.
That was the idea of expanding the farm and doing the big things out there. And we loved it, right? I got to drive a tractor, and really maybe that's what it was. I got to drive a tractor.
The little boy, right? Within a decade, a few acres became hundreds, and with it, a full-blown farm.
We've got about 500 sheep. We do about 24 geese a year. We do about 120 hogs a year. Lots of chickens. We have, 4 dogs. It's a menagerie. We have animals all over the place.
Today's harvest is on full display.
We're swimming in produce coming out of the farm, right? It's
like the fall is harvest season.
It is, and today, over the last week, this is like the peak of the peak of the peak.
Everything Skokan serves up screams seasonal.
One of my favorite dishes in the fall. Let's take the whole season, condensed it down into a stew, ratatouille style.
A medley of sautéed peppers, eggplant, and tomatoes spooned into an edible vessel.
And then we fill that inside of little summer squashes. And then one of my favorite cheeses ever, Taleggio, that we put on top. And it's like heaven.
Candlelit dinners may be the fanciest way to get a taste of what the farm has to offer, but it certainly isn't all of it.
We have our farm stand. We have our farm delivery truck. We do dinners out here at the farm. We have farm tours, buses of kindergarten kids running around through the strawberry patch. We have opened ourselves up to the community here for 16 years. It's really about feeding communities.
And during the pandemic, while national supply shortages left supermarkets empty-handed, Black Cat Farm was able to supply the demand.
We didn't have that problem. In fact, we were here on this farm, we were inundated with food. We were able to retool our operation like that. And literally within days, we were able to close the restaurant, open up a farm stand, and start taking care of customers in the community.
And that community of customers, in turn, took care of them.
At the beginning of COVID, we lost our son, Kelsey.
2 years ago, on the road by their home, Their son was killed when a dump truck smashed into his car.
Through all this process, we have, reevaluated what we want to do in life. Many things that we thought were important, really, for Jill and me, are not, particularly important anymore.
With this life-altering tragedy, their passions and inspirations are clearer than ever before.
Moving forward, we are really excited to cook at the farm, have dinners at the farm.
It's the final piece of the dream they started cooking up 2 decades ago, giving diners the full farm experience, eating just feet from the fields in these cozy greenhouses equipped with wood stoves.
Creating it such that I can walk right over there, harvest a few things, walk into the kitchen, and have the food come out a couple minutes later. Creating that experience for people. It's enriching for me to be able to do it. It's enriching for our customers and for the community as well. It's the best win-win out there.
And that win-win will be coming back at the beginning of next year. Obviously, COVID restrictions now off. They had to sort of revamp in that way. And we will be right back.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I have to tell you, this is called the Fashion on Pearl, and it is
What's in it?
delightful.
I took a sip on it.
I
It's
know,
really
it's
good.
rye, it's basil syrup,
yeah.
it's lemon juice, it's ginger beer, and it is so special.
So
As
good.
the kids say, that slaps.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
is that what they say?
I think so. I'll have to check, but for right after Thanksgiving, please.
Yeah.
Everything looked so delicious.
It really
that
was.
You had.
Eric and Jill, were delightful. And I have to, full disclosure, I knew nothing about what they'd endured during COVID. Nothing, there was nothing in the research. And he just spilled it on me like that. And
They lost their son.
They lost their son, and they are just building back their lives. And Bramble Hare and Black Cat Farm has helped them so much, and the community has helped so much in restoring their faith and their purpose. And so it was just a wonderful thing to be there and hear that they are on the mend.
I mean, so I'm sure people can understand. You can't even imagine getting out of bed every day when you endure a loss like that. So to see what they've done is incredible.
And that's what Eric said, right? He and Jill reevaluated what was important. And it
Absolutely.
really seems that spirit really comes through in what they make and what they do. Great story.
Great
Michelle.
story.
Thank you.